But I want to hear your opinion on what today's verdict was with the justices in the mockery, the buffoonery, the audacity of right of redacting Roe versus Wade.
First.
Starring Timothy Brown, Cool Care, Brittany Carter, David Ellerby, Erica Allen, Ainsley Dustin, Megadon lost his motherfucking mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Great Apes Cafe. We live and direct on the airwaves. I hope that everybody likes, subscribe, share, click that bell, and I might, reply back and say thank you. Now, with all that said, I have to have a PSA announcement. My last episode, I realized that I was drinking a little bit too much, and I had to apologize to my podcast members, to my family, to my homeboy to my left. I told him, and I quote, "You don't have the authority to say that." And as a man, nobody should ever tell you what your opinion is. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. And it was definitely unacceptable behavior. And I take full responsibility, accountability, and brosive, I apologize. I shouldn't say that. Plus, I called my best friend, good people, I called him a bitch. And that's just unacceptable. So again, and I did say I'm not calling you one, but it still sounded like I was, bro. I apologize. My homeboy ain't a bitch. Ain't nobody in this clique a bitch. You know what I mean? So, again, I apologize, bro. I'm giving you the respect that you definitely deserve. I apologize.
Appreciate it, my dog.
Now, with all that said, I got that off my weight. I feel the zen coming. With all that said, now I want to talk about the main subject for this podcast. We all know where we're going at with the decision of the judicial, not judicial committee, but the justices, the Supreme Court, they had the audacity, decision to redact to redact our old Wade versus Roe. And it's just going to go to.
So Tim's mouth.
But before you do that, everybody introduce themselves. What's your name?
Aislinn, aka Lioness Poet.
Rat.
And I'm Erica.
It's Cool, Kev, and you know that.
It's
Dave.
Queen
Dave
Brittany.
Okay, so stepping in for Tim. By the way, my dad was a political science major, so my dad forced me as a child to learn the branches of the judicial, and I know a lot of people don't know. Executive,
judicial,
legislative, which is the Senate and the Congress, and then you have the judicial branch. To explain this to y'all people that did not pay attention in school.
Civics
101. The president ain't got shit to do with shit. He is one man, and his job is to execute the laws as written by the Congress and the Senate of the United States. They write the laws. So when y'all making them votes, vote for your congressmen and your senators. They are who control what the fuck happens. But the importance of a president is this. He controls who goes on. The only thing that is a lifelong, I don't got to get voted on no more, court. The courts are lifelong appointments. So if you vote me on at 20, I'm there till the day I fucking die or retire. When Trump slid in for them little 4 years, the trouble he caused is he nominated not one, but 2 justices to that court. He got Bruce Kavanaugh.
I thought it was 3.
Well, he did get 3.
Okay.
But one of them took a little time to get, there was a little hiccup. Amy Coney Barrett kind of eased over just to the edge of the elections. She is actually from North Carolina, by the way. Let me explain something to you. Gorsh, who's a woman, Latino woman, and Kavanaugh both lied to their own party, the GOP, and said, we will stand behind all of the precedents that have been set previously by the previous courts, including Roe versus Wade, which is based on abortion and women's rights to reproductive assistance and things like that.
Which is the topic of this episode.
And that's the topic of this episode. So today, they went back on their word, and in a 6-3 decision based on party lines, conservative, aka Republicans, Trumpers, whatever you want to call them, and Democrats, they said it is illegal for a woman to have an abortion federally backed by the federal courts. In other words, it is not our right. The Fed said it's not our right to tell the states what to do. But that being said, if I'm not mistaken, there was 9 states that automatically outlawed abortion in 9 states today. See, people say it go into effect tomorrow. No. Once the court made a decision, it is immediately active from that point on. If a woman in one of those states today was in the middle of having an abortion when that decision was made, she committed a crime.
Well, let me interject on
in
this.
that particular state.
But nobody really can't be surprised what happened when the memo dropped a month ago.
The memo didn't drop a month ago, Tim. The memo dropped when Trump got in office.
Yeah.
Let me explain something to y'all. Once again, people don't pay attention. The majority of the Supreme Court justices that were in when Trump was there were in their fucking 80s. The lifespan of a human, they were already past the lifespan of a normal human in the first place. So they were going to retire.
Right.
They tried to hold on. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she died. It wasn't nothing.
I know she would probably be like really mad about what happened.
Once these nominations went in, these people, see, y'all don't understand. Kavanaugh ain't that old. He ain't up but in his 60s. Just like Clarence Thomas wasn't that old. He just barely kicking into his 70s now.
Right.
And Amy Coney Barrett, she's in her late 40s, early 50s. They got 20 plus years on that court. And unless Biden, now the one power Biden can do is he can add justices to the court.
Which I ain't gonna lie. It's called stacking the court.
But
that ain't it.
If he evens it out and goes, and if he evens out with 6 and 12 justices, but let me explain something to you. The antiquated system that you're living on is this. You got 9 traditionally white men deciding what 50 states and millions of people are allowed to do in this country.
That is too much power.
Now you also got Congress doing that too. But let me break it down to you today.
It don't look like check and balances though.
Listen, checks and balances is some bullshit that y'all that you taught school.
It don't feel like that.
You know what a check and the balance is?
What?
Let me explain something to you. The reason why I support the other decision they made with 2-8, the gun decision. The reason why I support the gun decision,
which was yesterday.
That's the only thing that's keeping this country honest. That they know if at any freaking moment they make the wrong decision, bang bang, shoot them up, this country will go to shit.
Now, some people may disagree with that statement.
No, I mean I'm just saying that's just the reality of the situation. Let me tell you something.
Especially the victims of the school shooting.
I'm getting ready to start. Yeah, I understand.
So I have to interject
I respect gun control.
Right.
But I say this. Let me tell you something. We need to go back in history. There were no gun laws in this country because the Wild Wild West was only 100 and this is 22 was only 120 years ago, buddy.
Right.
Up to 1908, you still had the Wild West. They still had horses and buggies. You still toting a gun to protect. But listen, those gun laws didn't come until the Black Panthers went in California. California's the first state to issue gun laws because they didn't want black people walking around with guns and power. Because you remember, we ain't always had guns.
No.
We ain't always had the right. In Mississippi, Alabama, them southern
especially
states.
southern states. Even South Carolina.
Once the feds affirmed that you can have a gun, it's still been hard. Because they made sure, they said if you're a criminal, and most black people was criminals because in those states, they made them a criminal. It didn't matter
the skin color was a criminal.
Skin color was a criminal. So now, I just want to throw this one thing out there. For me, Tim, and Kev, this conversation is a mute point. Because I don't have a vagina. I don't have ovaries. I don't have none of those reproductive organs. I have kids that are girls, and that's my standard that my daughters had the protections and things that if somebody was incestuous or raped them, that they didn't have to raise that child and to go through that trauma for the rest of life. And even though that's not my decision, that's their decision because they've got to live with it. So now, like I said, the ladies of this panel, I definitely want to hear what y'all got to say because everybody has a different perspective about it. But us men, we can just agree and sit back because
that's good. That's good, Dave.
Right. Facts. I'm about to alley-oop this to sis. One of the sis. I don't know who we're going to start this off. But it is a great sadness when you really think about like the history of men across every country in this planet for the past 10,000 years. When you look at the history and the archaeological evidence, we've been controlling what females actually do, with the exception of Egypt. But we've been, everywhere else it seems like we've been doing a little bit too much. So, but anyway.
We went from Trump to weekends at Bernie's.
But I'm going to start this off with you, sis. Miss Aislinn. Yes, we're going to start this off with you. I want to hear your opinion on what today's verdict was with the justices. In the mockery, the buffoonery, the audacity of
The caucasity.
right, of redacting Roe
Because,
versus Wade.
First of all, I don't feel like old ass white men or black men, for that matter, should tell me what I can and cannot do
Facts.
with my body. Period. Point blank. And I'm not pro-abortion,
Right.
but I'm pro-choice. It's your business. You know.
I ain't even pro-choice. I'm just
Whatever.
pro-woman. Like, why should I tell? Pro-choice is like, I feel like men still have a say so, but I don't hear no arguments. Like they argue that the fetus is still alive, but you look at sperm under a microscope, it's still alive. So nobody's arguing. The argument
Well,
ain't
then when you
what men are doing
jack
when
off,
they exact masturbate.
You killing your baby.
Millions.
Just
you know what I mean? Like you don't see females marching and telling men to stop masturbating. So why should us men tell? And the argument is, well, the country is a Christian-based country, but not everybody's Christian. I don't consider myself Christian because I can't. I think it's a hypocrisy to say you're a Christian. How dare you say you Christ-like? Really, if you really think about it, especially
And what are they gonna do to help?
And this is another thing, and I'm happy you just brought that up. So if you pro-life, definition of pro-life doesn't make sense if
They not.
you bring in if there's no free
They
childcare,
not though.
if there's no welfare tax for children. There's some people.
Childcare is
There's
a
some
damn
children,
mortgage payment. Okay,
Now,
Facts. There's
it's
some
a mortgage payment. For
food.
real.
There's food disparities in this country. It's not equally it's not equally given to children. Distributed. Nutritional value is trash in certain areas, especially your rural areas in this country. So
America, period. You
Right.
know, certain stuff in Europe that they don't even make or they're not even allowed to use in their food because
That's
it's
another episode.
toxic.
that's a whole nother episode.
I just want to say
It
also.
is. It is.
Hey,
But, I mean,
I heard that they was running out of like
Yeah.
baby food, right?
They are.
formula.
There's a shortage.
People aren't
Yeah.
working in
And
the
then
factory.
people are saying breastfeed, but everybody cannot breastfeed.
Very true. And that's
Everybody
a whole nother
cannot.
episode
So
too.
then what?
I want to allow this question.
That's a whole nother episode too.
I
And
wanna
then
allow
they
this
say,
question.
well, if you can't take care of your child, then you shouldn't have a child. But what about the people that get pregnant when they're on depot?
That's
What about
all-
the people that get pregnant when they're on birth control?
That
What
was
about
what I
the people
did.
that get
Time out.
pregnant when they have their tubes
Go back to what you
tied?
just said, though.
Or vasectomy.
Go back to what you just said.
It starts with the men.
No, they
The
say,
men-
they said if you. What they always say, the rednecks always say, if you can't feed them, don't breed them. But why the hell are you stopping to wait for them to stop having kids? Because everybody don't. Sometimes shit happens. So now
That's true.
are they gonna adopt all these fucking kids that's gonna be born into all these
Hell
horrible ass
no.
homes?
And let me tell you, most of the people I work right by Planned Parenthood, when them people be up there protesting, they old as hell.
Very.
Past their birthing ages.
Them ages
Ain't
dead and
adopted
that
a
sperm
damn
is dust.
soul.
Well, what you think, sis? What's your opinion on this?
I mean, I don't think anyone should be able to tell a woman what to do with her body. It's her temple. I mean, yeah, if a woman has sex unprotected, not on birth control, and you make that choice to lay down, of course you know the consequence. You're going to get pregnant. So in that case, yeah, you should keep the baby. I mean, you should step it up. You should have took the precautions to prevent getting pregnant. But as far as abortions, I believe in them, but then I don't. If you're raped, incest, anything like that, a woman should be able to make that choice. They shouldn't have to, see that over and over again by looking at that child.
Facts. And nobody's talking about like